So basically, we are looking at miracles being done. We're looking at God's power through faithful servants. Elisha, not Elijah, who was just carried off into heaven, begins his ministry. He is now the prophet. He has picked up Elijah's cloak. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast. You are listening to the Convert Me podcast. My name is Scott Espinda, and I am a new follower of Christ. I've always considered myself Christian, but I never knew what that meant. I wasn't baptized. I always considered myself spiritual. When people ask me, "Oh, what religion are you?" Like, well, Christian. And then if anything else got any more technical than that, the answer was always just, I'm just spiritual. It's very spiritual. And I have gone through a journey that has brought me closer to Christ and actually discovering what it actually means to be a Christian and discovering what it actually means to help others. And in this episode, we are going to be talking about something similar. All right. We are going to be talking a lot about prophets. We are going to be talking a lot about doing what's right. We are going to be looking at some foreshadowing of Jesus Christ. We're going to see some miracles done by a prophet that have been done earlier, but most famously done by Jesus Christ. And these are great ways to get into that spirit, that Christian spirit, and a great way to start your day or end your day. We are going to be doing 2 Kings chapters 2 through 7. And basically, what's happening here is a transfer of power or responsibility, whatever you want to call it. But we are seeing a new prophet. We are seeing Elijah being carried off into heaven and leaving Elisha as the new prophet. I know those two are very similar, Elijah and Elisha. And it's a wild coincidence how similar they sound and how similar of a character they are, both prophets, both very loyal and obedient. Actually, I heard that the Hebrew name is very difficult to mix because it is not the same at all in Hebrew. So just something interesting I thought I'd share. So basically, we are looking at miracles being done. We're looking at God's power through faithful servants, which are the prophets. There are many instances when God's power continues through everyday people like us, like me, like you, like your friends and your family. And it happens every day. It happens every day. God provides, and God's power is given to us. Some more than others. Elijah is a very interesting character. He is actually carried off into heaven by a chariot of fire. And it says, Elijah's taken to heaven in a whirlwind. And there was one other person who was taken into heaven without dying. And that was, I believe that was in Exodus or Genesis. It was Enoch. Enoch and Elijah. Very interesting. It was Genesis, yes. Yes, so Enoch and Elijah were the two only recorded men who did not experience death and were taken directly by God. And that is chapter 2. And also in chapter 2, Elisha not Elijah, who was just carried off into heaven, begins his ministry. He is now the prophet. He has picked up Elijah's cloak. And we are seeing almost a repeat. A lot of things that we have read already. It's like the same bag of tricks. It's a great bag of tricks. We are looking at waters parting, just as they did for Elijah, just as they did for Moses. We're looking at purifying the poisoned water. We are looking at restoring life. We are looking at multiplying our supplies to unlimited amounts. We are looking at Elisha making a poisonous stew safe. We're looking at 20 loaves feeding 100 people. Now, as you can see, there are a lot of foreshadowing with Jesus Christ going on here. Jesus feeds the 5,000. He raises Lazarus and others. So does Elisha. And that is what today's episode is a lot about. A lot about miracles. A lot about being a follower of Christ. Sometimes we don't think that we see miracles. We're looking at miracles just like Elisha, like raising the dead or something huge. But every day around us, if not us, others around us are experiencing miracles. Honestly, if you want to get into it, us just being alive here is a miracle. There are a lot of things to be looked at when it comes to the subject of miracles. I'm actually feeling really grateful for this week's study because it is very short, it's very simple, and as a convert, sometimes I need that break. Sometimes I need a little less nuts and bolts going into these Bible studies that just take all week to dive into. It's nice to have a straightforward chapter in 2 Kings talking about prophets, talking about miracles, and talking about obedience that allows me to just enjoy the lessons. Just enjoying the lessons of being obedient and being a faithful follower of Christ. And speaking of a faithful follower of Christ, if we look at 2 Kings chapter 5, we are reading a story about Naaman. And Naaman is a commander of the Syria army, and he has leprosy. And Elisha is going to heal Naaman of his leprosy. And he tells Naaman to wash in the Jordan 7 times. And Naaman is a very prideful person. He thinks there's more to it. He's expecting something more extravagant, and he becomes angry. But his servants, they persuade him to listen, to obey. And what we read is that he gets completely healed of his leprosy once he obeys the command, the instruction from Elisha to go wash in the Jordan 7 times. And he does. And the lesson to be learned there is pride can keep us from obedience. Faith often requires simple obedience. Just simple obedience for that faith that we seek out to have. And getting into 2 Kings chapter 7, there is a lot of faith. A lot of faith required, and a lot of faith missing in some instances. We are learning that there is a terrible drought. Food is basically non-existent, and people are starving. And Elisha tells them that tomorrow there will be food. It's almost like a test. It's a test whether the people have faith in God's word. And there is times where there is no faith. There is no faith. Nobody believes what he's saying. It's an unbelief. And Elisha replies, "Ye shall see it with your own eyes, but you shall not eat of it." And I really like that one because, well, that prophecy gets fulfilled at the end of the chapter, but I like how you can read into it and look for a deeper meaning of what that could mean. And then we learn of the 4 lepers. Now these 4 lepers they live outside of the city gate. They're lepers, they have skin disease. So in Leviticus, the law says that they must live outside and they must be excluded from normal society. So they see 3 options: enter the city and starve, stay and starve, or go into the Syrian camp and perhaps live. And we learn that this battle that is happening at the Syria camp is a very similar battle. It says, "The Lord had made the army of the Syrians hear the sound of chariots and horses, the sound of a great army." And then the Syrians conclude, "The kings of Israel has hired the kings of the Hittites and Egyptians against us." Now there is a reoccurring theme here. There's a pattern that tells us a few things. A pattern that tells us that victory belongs to the Lord. And 2, God gives strength to the most, I don't want to say the weaker, but I guess so, the most unlikely. He gives them strength. And there have been instances that we have read already where wars have been won with little to no fighting. Like the walls of Jericho, those fell. Gideon and the Midianites, that was only 300 men. So victory belongs to the Lord. Great things happen when you have faith. And even greater than that is grace. I love me some grace. I love grace wherever I can get it. And we receive grace not by what we do or who we are. It's just there. It's grace given to us. For example, the 4 lepers, they were sure they were going to die. But instead, they get to the camp and they eat, they drink, and they are loving life. They're loving life again. Simply for existing and having faith. They are enjoying what God had accomplished by no fault or reason or contribution of their own, by not deserving it, by not whatever you want to say, it was given to them. And you could probably imagine that they feel pretty grateful. Like, what did we do for this? They did absolutely nothing. Grace was given to them. Grace is given to us. Sometimes it might be hard to see, especially when you're angry. I found when you're angry, you can't see any grace. It's very hard to have faith. But these 4 lepers are experiencing this grace, and they're like, wow, I feel like we should do something. We need to repay this. We need to turn a leaf, or we need to contribute, or something of that sort. And they realize, okay, this good news, the gospel, needs to be shared. And these 4 lepers are now preachers of the gospel, of good news. And it's always fun to see the unlikely people that get chosen from God and Jesus Christ to be such pivotal parts in people's lives. Fishermen, tax collectors, sinners, lepers, and God chooses them. Well, God chooses us. I don't know about you guys. Maybe we have some perfect people listening out there. But as for me, I can definitely relate with some of the unlikely people chosen to announce and spread God's good news, the gospel of Jesus Christ. And that is what these 4 lepers are called to do. They feel that calling in them, and they need to tell others the good news. Which leaves me with one question. Have you ever felt challenged to share the gospel? Maybe that gospel is working in your life right now. Maybe you are not yet called to feel what these 4 lepers are feeling, to share the gospel, to make attempts to change your friends' lives, change your family's lives, to give them the good news of Jesus Christ, and that death has been defeated, and that the battle has already been won, and that good things do happen. Because in today's world, we need that reminder. So many bad things and people, and we need the reminder of good. Maybe you haven't felt challenged to share the gospel yet, but I can promise you, if you continue on this path, you will. You will feel a calling to share the gospel. You will strive to change people's lives for the better. And what a great blessing that is. That is the point of my life where I'm at, which is why I'm starting this podcast. And I find myself doing all sorts of projects and getting in over my head, but it's all for a great cause, which is spreading the good news, spreading the gospel, and just trying to make those lives just a little bit better. And I hope that one day you can also strive and continue to challenge yourself to share that gospel, just as the 4 lepers that we have learned in this week's Bible study in 2 Kings chapters 2 through 7. And I thank you for joining me this week once again. And I hope to see you next week. Thank you.
Have a great day. Aloha.